A fellow flashlight enthusiast just asked me why the custom lights were worth the price, what was different about them than a $100 light. And so I made a little 12-minute video that we'll have linked at the end of this video if you want to click on it and watch it. And that just kind of goes over the machining differences of these lights compared to inexpensive lights. But I posted that video and I got a response, and the response was, hey man, this is really interesting, but oh man, I'm made of questions. What's on the inside and what kind of batteries does it take? And I realized I had made that video specifically for a question that was asked. And it turns out, no, I didn't talk about anything. So if you're uninitiated about these custom lights, this is the video. We're going to start talking about it. I'm here with my wife.
Hi.
And she knows a bit about lights, just because I'm always blabbing about them, but she is not a flashlight enthusiast. So we're going to do this. We're going to talk about these lights, and we're going to get her perspective on them and what's going on. And let's take it away. So darling.
Yeah, so I guess they're flashlights. So let's talk about the lights in them. What are the different emitters in these?
See, she knows the word emitters, guys. Yeah, so that's a good place to start, because in the custom flashlight world like this, generally, honestly, they're going to be 5,000K color temperature. There's 5,000 for the most part. That's not to say you can't get ones that aren't. A couple of these up here aren't, and I'll show you in a second. But that's just one of the interesting things about the really high-end lights. Like this one right here, this Henko is super high-end, and I don't know of a Henko that isn't 5,000K. That's just how they come, and you don't really kind of pick that. Now, Jesse Hayes' light, this Revarm Citadel, this one is 4,000. And when Jesse makes his lights, he does put what the color temperature is. And wait, I don't even remember if this is 4,000 or 5,000. Let me take a look. Hang on.
Now, while you're checking, You said 5,000 is closest to sunlight as far as the mix of warm and cool, right?
Yes, right. So these look the same to me. Yeah, these are both 5,000. So, yeah, the thing is that 5,000 is supposed to mimic daylight, and it looks really good in daylight. At night, it's acceptable to me, but it's kind of very cool. So, like, if I'm tucking the kid in, it's a little on the cool side for me. About 4,500K is the Nishia 219B 4,500K is kind of like the upper end of what I like. I kind of prefer more a 3,500 or 3,000. But
okay, so sorry to interrupt, but we have a Hank light, not a custom one, but a Hank light here. And we have something like this in our baby's bedroom for her night light, and we have it on candlelight mode. So what is the temperature of that one? How would you quantify that temperature?
That one is extremely warm. That one is, it's an Ichia E21A, and it's 2,000. So 2,000 is about as warm as you can get on these emitters. For comparison, first off, we're shooting this video. The lights we're using on stage here are 5,000K, and the white balance of the camera set to 5,000K. That's so that people at home know what they're seeing. This light actually, none of these. Hang on. Pause. This light. I got my roto blades confused. So this is a rotoblade Vision. This is also Vision. This one's just a Damasteel versus a titanium. But this one is a Nishia 219B 3000. So let me get through the secondaries. There you go. You can see how warm it is. So it's a little hard to see because I'm having to put out so much light to override our stage lights here. But it's much warmer than what we got going. So let's just take a good look at that. So why don't you grab the arms here, the Revarm Citadel. And yeah, we're going to get to that in a second. I'll operate it and it'll help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So click that and hold it. Okay. So that should be 5,000. And then this one is 4,000. Let's get through the secondaries. And why don't you put your spot over here? Okay, and that's 4,000. We can see it's a little bit more. And I might pull up a little bit too. Okay, right there. Perfect. And then Then this one over here. So we got 5,000, 4,000, and then over here we're going to go, and there's 3,000. So those are, or let's go up a little bit. So those are, which this one was a little brighter. There we go. Those are about 1,000 apart each. So that gives you a good idea of what's going on there. I would say that 3,000 is, in my opinion, a little funky during daytime. It looks a little too warm.
But at nighttime, it's much prettier. It's that rosy color that you like?
Rosy is a different kind of...
Oh, that's tint versus temperature.
Yeah, see, okay. You listen. Right. You know, you're a good listener. Color temperature is how warm or cool it is. And tint is basically how magenta or green it is. So they're kind of like, you know, the x-axis on a graph versus the y-axis.
Okay.
On a color chart. And so let's talk about, let's leave tint out of this.
Okay.
But let's just say for color temperature, I think that 5,000 mimics daylight so well that looks amazing at the work site during day. 5,000 is a great light. And then when I'm tucking my kid in, it's too cool for my taste. And then I think 3,000 looks amazing at night. And then it's kind of weird during the day when I'm using it at work. And that's where the 4,000 comes in. The 4,000 is that middle ground where it looks a little warm during the day, but passable, and a little cool at night, but passable. So the 4,000 is a perennial favorite. And in fact, I think this one's 4,000. That one is 4,000. This one's 4,000. And this one. Well, 4,500. This one's 4,500. So these ones are all in that middle range. And this one's lower and this one's higher. So, you know. But notice, too, that of these lights, the most expensive lights here are these two. And they're both 5,000. It's an interesting thing. You know, you go to Hank Wang and he'll sell you a $50 light. That's what this is. Well, titanium, so it's like $90, but there's a $90 light. But the thing is, I mean, he'll give you any tint, any color, any duve you want. You don't get those options in the customs. That's what's funny. What you're paying for is the metalwork. I want to make that clear, you know? Yeah, you're paying for the metalwork, not really the emitters. That's weird. It's weird, right? Here you're focused on the flashlightability of it, and here you're like paying for an art piece that happens to be a light. I think that's a good way to put it.
So really, you would say it's form over function as far as the 100%. Higher end lights versus your EDCs.
Yeah, I will say that's true. I just want to backpedal a little bit on the statement and say that they're excellent flashlights.
Oh, certainly, yes.
Yeah,
you weren't disparaging them as a flashlight, but as far as customized, you're really paying for the the housing.
And that's another thing. Let's talk about the custom name. They're often called custom flashlights, but that term is a little of a misnomer because these manufacturers make them the way they want to make them. And you're on board and you buy it or not. So that's probably one of the reasons why, you know, the emitters are the emitters you get. So customs are kind of a weird term. I think a better way to term these is high-end. Small batch, right?
Artisanal.
Yes.
Artisanal.
Yes. So
let's talk about, we talked about the light, but let's talk about what makes the light actually turn on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the drivers in these?
So, all right. So none of these run the enthusiast favorite UI called Endurial. And none of them have E-switches. So Endurial, this Hank light here, which is not, you know, it's just here as a comparison to these guys. This is not a high-end light. But this light has an E-switch on the side, and it runs Endurial. And I'm not going to go into the interfaces, but just let it be known that these guys are all mechanical clickies. So on the back, you got something that actually, you know, clicks, right? Yeah, something like that. And then what UI you get depends on the driver. And there's basically two drivers in the high-end flashlight game. There's only two. and let's look at them. So let's see here. I'll give you a question here. So let's talk about the switch a little bit. When the way these work, something called a forward clicky. What it means is there's a half press before it clicks. Okay, press. Yeah, there you go, and then press harder.
Okay.
Okay, see that, and then it stays on.
Okay, and these are the auxiliary.
Well, right? So now unclick it. So what happens is you got modes. What you're going to do is you're going to half press through the modes.
Oh, that was a full click.
Yeah. So half press. So turn it to off.
Okay.
Now, think about this. You're going to pulse it, half press, and let go. And then let go. Now try again. There you go. Now try to go. There you go. Now you're going through the modes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I wasn't letting go. That was my problem.
And then when you get to what you want, you click and you click it in. You lock it in. Okay? Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Yeah, now what you're doing something a little complicated, which is you're just being easygoing about it, and you're not mode switching very fast. If you mode switch slow, it actually goes into special modes. So actually, tap through a little faster, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Tap. So go tap, 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 and get to what you want, and then click.
Oh.
But
so a less complicated interface. Once you get the hang of it, you don't have to memorize a bunch of different clicks.
No,
like
so there's basically 5 outputs usually. There's usually about 5, and then the one you picked up, the La Lima, it was making blue, and then it went to white. So this is one of the 2 types of drivers that are basically sold in the high-end market. It's a Charles Wiggins Dragon, and if you turn the emitter towards the lens there, we can actually see. Let's tilt it this way a little bit, get the light on it. You can actually see that there's the 3 main emitters, and then off on the sides here, let me try and help you manipulate this. Yeah, you can see there's those little blue emitters off on the sides. And so what we call these is primary and secondary channel. Charles Wiggins driver has that. And so if you want secondary light, if you want an alternate color to see by at night, and you only get one, it's not like a Hank light where you pick whatever you want, right? If you only want one color, you're going to get the Charles Wiggins Dragon. The other driver that's available, which is the Dr. Jones H17F, doesn't have a secondary channel like that. So for example, this light right here, this one right here, yeah. This one is a Dr. Jones driver, and as we tap through it, so tap, 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 you can see there's no secondary. It's just light. That's all it does. And so when I first started looking at these, the Dragon driver seemed like a cooler thing. It's like, well, I get colored lights if I want. But honestly, I guess the way I would look at it is the Dr. Jones H17F is a much more complicated, probably better built driver. You can do so much more with it. You can set up exactly the percentages you want. How many different modes will I get, like 2 or 5? It's really intricate, and I'm not going to go over it. So it does one thing and does it really well. So there's a programming mode you enter, and that's true of the Dragon as well. But I guess what I want to say is on the Dr. Jones, you get to enter this programming mode and tell it exactly what you want. On the Dragon, you enter a mode and pick from a menu.
Okay.
It has like 10 entrees and says, which of these entrees do you want? This one, you can say, okay, I want it exactly this percent at this point. So the Dr. Jones is probably a better driver if you are very technical and you really want to set it up exactly the way you like it.
Okay. And is it named for Dr. Indiana Jones?
No, It's not. Well,
it's still cool.
A handle, yeah. I'm sure. Oh gosh, I've never really thought about it. It's probably an allusion to it. So the Dragon driver. Notice this one was blue.
Yes.
Okay, so check this one out. Once you do a couple clicks on that, see that one's red. So yeah, keep half pressing through, and when you get to the red, keep your half press. There you go. There you go. So, you know, again, Charles Wiggins Dragon Driver, and the driver doesn't determine the color. The color is determined by what secondary LEDs are installed, and common colors are green, red, blue, and amber. Those are your 4 colors. Just red is supposed to preserve your night vision. Blue is just to preserve the sleeping of loved ones around you. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when you come in, after you're flashlighting at night and you don't want to wake me up,
right?
You'll use the blue.
Yeah, and the reason for that is the blue doesn't go through skin as well. Think about it. When you put flashlights up to your hand, again, your fingers, whatever, you shine through, like this, right? This thing that kids do when they go like this and they shine it through. Your skin glows red. Red transmits through your skin. Blue doesn't. So it turns out blue just doesn't go through closed eyelids very well. So that's red and blue. Amber is kind of just it's like a brighter red. So it's supposed to preserve night vision a little bit, but I actually take umbrage with that. I don't think it does. And then green is the highest intensity secondary. It just really puts out some light.
Because green has a shorter wavelength. It's a higher energy light.
Green's actually right in the middle of the spectrum.
Oh, that's right.
Green has your peak receptivity in your eyes.
Oh.
Humans just see green really well. That's all that is. So, so we talked about the outsides. We talked about the switches. We started talking about the drivers. And yeah, we said there's pretty much only 2 of them. And by the way, you can't really go wrong. You kind of get one thing or another. You either get secondaries, which is fun, and it's easy to set up. The Dragon drivers, like you just pick from a menu. I want this. But I will say there's been a couple times where I'm like, you know what? Mode 3 in the Dragon driver, I really like it, but I wish that the second, thing was a little different. And that's where the Dr. Jones is probably better because you can just change it up. And also, you know what? Secondaries, they're fun. I gotta be honest. I don't think they're a must-have.
So they're more of the fashion piece to it, or perhaps an additional.
Yeah, in use, I much prefer a moonlight mode to walking around at night than some funky color. So they're fun, and they definitely get wow factor when you show a non-flashlight person your flashlight. They're like, oh, colors. But no, I think moonlight's better. So, I mean, the more that I handle these lights and play with the drivers, I used to really love the Dragon driver, but I'm kind of moving towards the Dr. Jones H17F. I think it's a better driver in a lot of ways.
So how do we charge these? Let's say I've used one. I've picked one of these out. I love this high-end flashlight, and I've used it. And what kind of batteries do they take, and how do I charge them?
I'm glad you picked this one up because we actually have to backtrack for a second. This light, the TorchLabs, is the one exception to all these lights. It has a different driver and a different It's called a LuxRC driver. It's very unique among all these. It's definitely the most advanced of these drivers. This driver's crazy because you go to a website and there's a full web interface. You set up the driver the way you want with drag and drop and pull downs. And then on the website, you say, okay, program my light. You go to the back here, you do a sequence of taps. And then on the front of the light, there is a sensor. You hold it up to your monitor and the monitor flashes and programs the light for you. This is a really great light.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So for anyone who prefers more of a graphical user interface, this is the driver for you.
Yeah, it's you know what? I'm going to tell you that you know what? I hadn't even thought of this until I'm talking to you right now. Where the Dr. Jones has all the configuration you want, but it's a pain in the butt to kind of configure. And then the Charles Wiggins driver, the Dragon, I love that it's configurable, but you can set up, but it does not configurable enough. This thing solves that. Because you can configure it up to have 2 groups, 3 groups, 5 groups, multiple banks. You can do so much with it, but it's drag and drop. It's just so easy. And then it just does it on screen for you. So I love it. And the other thing too is the optical sensor it's using at the front. It's not just for programming. This thing has a feature where if you accidentally turn the light on, it's like on turbo in your pocket, it senses the bounce of the light and it shuts it to moonlight mode. So it has a safety feature too.
Oh, wow. And what is the name of that driver again?
This is the LuxRC driver included, and this is called a TorchLabs BOSS light. And BOSS is an acronym, and it stands for Big Output, Small Size. This is actually one of the small lights up here. It's really tiny. If you hold it up next to ones, you'll see it's a little tinier.
Yeah. It is. Just a hair, but...
And the Hanko's a small light. I mean, this clip is ostentatious, but the light is very small, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's a great light. Let's see this in practice real quick. So so it's got a very similar interface to the Dragon where you tap through. So, okay, there we go. I had to figure out how many modes I had programmed. So that'd be the high mode, right? Watch this. See that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're not going to burn a hole in your pants with turbo mode.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really cool feature. And what's neat too is besides, see it just get close and it just bounces back. What's also neat is people sometimes use it as a shortcut to get to other modes like moonlight or a red light. So for example, I could program this light to, okay, let me set the stage. Let's say you occasionally want a red light for like aviation or something. You want to keep night adapted or astronomy. But in normal everyday use, red through the cycle is annoying because you have to cycle past red to get to stuff. So what people do is they program it with all the white modes only. And then when they get to a high mode like this, and then, oops, here we go. And then they have the red. So it's actually like a shortcut to get to a red that you don't want in the cycle.
Oh, that's a fun driver.
It is fun. Yeah, it's actually one of Zero Air's favorite lights on the market. And I often refer to him when we're talking off camera. I call him the godfather of lights.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Okay. So you were talking about the internals. I kind of sidetracked you.
Yeah, no worries. The batteries. So what do these take? Are they proprietary? Are they something I could get just off Amazon, or are they something that I have to get from the manufacturer?
These are 100% non-proprietary. All of these are batteries that you can get from any lithium-ion reseller.
And do they all take the same size? Are they interchangeable?
So in the high-end market, they seem to be kind of centered around something called an 18350. These are all, why don't you open that one up? Yeah, just unscrews. So open it up, and the batteries are here, and it'll slide out. So you might want to put the head up when you do that. There you go, and just tip it out into your hand. There you go. So that's an 18350. It's like a short 18650. It's like a short one. And it does have less runtime than 18650. So be aware that these things are about 1,000 milliamps, whereas, 1,000 milliamp hours. That's the right term. Whereas 18650 is 3,000. So they get about a third of the runtime. So if you wanted like a duty light or you were going on a camping trip, the custom lights aren't really good for that. They're great for carrying all the time as jewelry and for occasional use. So these are mostly that. In fact,
Did I put that back in the correct way?
Good question. The head of the battery, this is the tail, and then this little button is the top, always goes towards the head of the light. So perfect.
It was correct.
But another thing too is these custom lights, and by the way, turn that around. That right there, that is the this is the Dr. Jones driver. This is so.
Oh, that's what it looks like on the inside.
Yeah, that's the Dr. Jones driver. They have a look. So let's take a look at this driver. So this is the Dr. Jones, and let's see here.
This one's Dragon, right?
Yes. Go ahead and undo that one. And this is also Dr. Jones. So let me take these two over here.
And then I'll open...
Well, hang on just for a second.
Let's just do Dr. Jones and
because
Dragon?
this is unique to this light. But you put that one down. And then this is also a Dragon. So let's put this here. and then you'll see. So the Dragon drivers are on the left here, and the Dr. Jones are on the right. And so you notice that the Dragons have 4 of those 7135 chips, and these have, what is that, 8? No, 6. 6. And also notice that Charles Wiggins actually puts CWF, Charles Wiggins flashlights, right on his driver.
So that's also how you could maybe tell a counterfeit, or...
you know what? If they're counterfeiting, I bet you they just do it. True. Yeah. But honestly, the drivers are so inexpensive. I don't really think that it's lucrative for anyone to counterfeit. I think if you get one of these, you know it's real. I mean, all right, let's start with that then. These lights, right? They're like $400 or $500. The driver's like $17.
Oh, again, yes, it's the art piece. It's the housing that you're really paying for in these high-end lights.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that you might not know to ask about, but now that they're exposed, I'll mention it, is the copper that they sit in. So the driver is this little disc here, and it's a disc. It's like a little pizza, right? But that copper that it's sitting in is called a pill, and the pill can be removed. And the way you remove it is let's see here. There's a little notch on either side of the pill, like you can see here. Let me get a pointing device. So there's a little notch there on that side right there. You can see it. And there's one over here on this side. And you can get a spanner wrench or a snap wrench or something, jam it in there, or a lens tool, filter wrench tool for like cameras. And you can unscrew this thing. And all of this will unscrew. So the emitters, the front will back out, and you have access to all this. So custom lights in general are pretty serviceable. You can get in there and change the tear optic out, change the glass out. Many of these have mineral glass or sapphire crystal. They're not just normal standard glass. They're usually anti-reflective coating. I mean, these are things like, let me see if I can get an angle on this. Actually, there's this shine. See how white that shine is? That actually indicates that this is not coated to me.
Oh, okay.
Some people don't want to coat, and I'll explain that one in a second. But this one, let's see if we get that. Actually, oh, there we go. You see how the edge of the reflection is so blue? Mm-hmm. This one's coated.
Okay.
This one has a coating on it, and so what's coating for? Better light transmission. That's the thing. When you coat glass, glass can have up to 10% loss passing through it on the two sides. When they coat it, it knocks it down to like 1 or 2%.
So if I wanted a Henko because I liked the metalwork and I liked the housing, I could figure out how to. It would be relatively easy once you know what you're doing to open this up, change out the emitters if I didn't want 5,000.
Yeah, this is a good point. It's super easy. So, for example, let me just take the Henko for a second. This isn't the right tool. This is a tweezers. But watch, I can stick and watch. And then, well, actually, I don't know if I want to open my light, but I will. I'll do it for you guys. There you go. See, there you go. And then, all right, let's do it. Now, here's the thing. It's very easy to get in there, but see, it backs right out. And then just keep going. That's the pill. That's what we call that. And there we go. Now there's the emitters. And you can see that the optic fell into the bottom. Now, I don't want to go too much into flashlight construction, but I want to say that if you wanted to take this apart and change the emitter out or change the driver out, it's a fairly easy operation. The only thing you should ever be aware of and like kind of hunt for and look for is this one thing, and that is some manufacturers like to kind of solder their driver into the pill, and that can be kind of a pain in the butt just because you have to desolder this with a wick and get all the solder off to get it to turn. A lot of these actually they just back out, they just turn. So it's not a huge problem. Now, when you go to reassemble this, you got to be super careful that you don't just put it in and tighten, because these emitters will never line up with the tier correctly and you'll smash them. So what you do is, and I get, this is a little advanced stuff, but take that tier out at the very least. You can leave the glass in if you want. Take that tier out and then put it, so the legs go right there. Get it all lined up. Then turn this like this. And then when you reassemble it, everything's going to be great. All right, so I didn't even expect to go there, but you know what? Serviceability is high. So we were talking about batteries, okay?
Yes.
So the batteries off the shelf, you can get them from any manufacturer, and then you can service these things. So again, back to our original point, you're paying for the metalwork. You're not paying for the innards. But I do want to point out that amongst all these lights, this one, which is, it's a little bigger than the rest. It's a little bigger, but this is the only, and this is, obviously not a custom light. This is just a Hank Wang light. Well, custom's such a weird term. It is a custom light. He custom made it, but it's just not a high-end light. But here's the thing. That's the only one with an 18650. You can see how much bigger it is. That's why it's got 3 times the runtime. But, the machining on this, here, let me get back to you. Let's reassemble one of these. How about the reaver arms? Oh, you know what? Before we assemble the reaver arms, let me show you one thing about the reaver arms. So they're all 18650s, except for the reaver arms. The reaver arms is so svelte in the inside and the way the design is. This is actually a less used battery. It's a really tiny one. This is called a 16340. Even tinier.
Yeah.
And this 18350 will not fit in there. You can try, just won't. Yeah, not gonna happen. So it takes a little one, and these guys have even under 1,000. These are like 700 or whatever. So, just something to be known that they don't have a lot. Why don't you go ahead and screw that on, and I'll show you a couple things. Yeah, we talked about this in the other video. You did something that I naturally did. You went like, well, I want this to line up, and you could feel it was getting tight, right? Mm-hmm. Right? In fact, I can go one more, right? Watch this. Once you keep going, it gets tight and kind of stops, right? Here, try it. Go, like, try and go. Yeah.
Wail on it?
No, watch. So it gets stuck, right? It's not lined up, right? The way he machined it, he's so good that watch this. I'm going to white knuckle this thing. Watch this. Okay, let's do it. Let me see if I can do it on the screen. Here we go. When you white knuckle this thing, let me back it up because I got to get a running start at it. Here we go. One sec. I got to do it off camera. Sorry, folks. I just got to put a lot of muscle in this. But the point is, if you white knuckle this thing, here we go. I did this better in the other video if you guys want to see. And part of the reason why it's not being so easy for me is, as I said in the other video, the light has been in our hands and we've kind of warmed it up. That's how exacting the tolerance is on this lighter. You're looking at a blank screen right now, but here you go. The light is so exacting that I white knuckled it and it almost lined up, but it didn't. If this was cold, it would have lined up. That's what's crazy about this light.
Well, I need it to line up for my brain, so I'm just gonna
yes. But we were holding
it up a little.
But imagine that we were holding it, and the warmth from our hand is preventing us from reaching it
because of the expansion.
But also notice that when the light's cold, like if we just put it down for 5 minutes, that's enough, right? But when the light's cold, yeah, because I was just
would the studio lights or lighting continue to warm it up?
No, these are LEDs. They're okay. But the thing is I just think it's interesting because I did it easily in the other video. They can look at that one. But the fact of the matter is that this little gap right here, that gap is gone. It almost looks seamless when you get it on right. And the fact that it's designed to go to where it can't move anymore and that lines up, that's what you're paying for. So anyways, what I wanted you to do is grab these two. Because you're talking about like a $700 light versus like a $90 light. I guess the question is when you're feeling them, Does it? I mean, can you tell the difference, or is it? What do you think?
I mean, this definitely, the metal is much smoother. This is knurling. Would this be considered knurling?
No, it's designed, but knurling is literally this hatch pattern.
Okay, yeah. So of course this is because obviously this was machined by a machine, and then this was, finished by hand. So you do feel, I can absolutely feel the difference in the quality. This one, of course, is heavier because although this one's titanium too, isn't it?
They're both titanium.
Yeah.
The difference in weight. The difference in weight is the battery. So that's another thing too, right? Is even though this one is just a little bit bigger, and a lot of people are willing to go a couple more millimeters to get that bigger battery, but then you carry it all day. It's a bigger battery. So
let me take out the batteries and see because again, what you're paying, you say, in these high-end lights, what we're paying for is the housing, the metalwork.
Yeah. So. They should be almost identical weights. I mean, give or take. But I mean, you felt the difference. You could easily tell.
Well, just in the threading, it's much smoother getting this back on than the base here. Nothing.
Oh, were you able to get it? You did.
I think I did.
You did. Yeah, first go.
I did. Hey.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe I'm really weak.
You loosened it for me? Yeah, in fact, maybe it's just the clip, but this one feels a little bit heavier.
Interesting. Let me see. No, I think you're right. But I also, you know what else I think? I think there's a lot more titanium here. The design, I mean, look how it goes at the valleys. Because it's still thick where the valleys are, right? So it's even thicker at these peaks. So there's just more titanium here. But think about that. You say, so empty, this is heavier. But loaded, you said...
This is heavier.
So maybe that's another reason for custom light manufacturers to opt for 18350s. Not just size, but weight. All right, let's talk about. So we talked a little bit about shape and design. Let's get these guys back together, and
let me re-battery these.
Yeah, let's get them back together, and then you can tell me what you think. Oh, that's right. I didn't even assemble the Hanko all the way. Let me reassemble that. You can tell me what you think about the various designs and what you like.
Okay, I'm just actually going to put this Hanko and its battery off to the side.
That's a Hank light.
Oh, excuse me, Hank. Hanko is the fancy one.
Yeah, Hanko is Jeff Hanko, his last name, whereas Hank Light is his first name, or his first English name, because he's a Chinese guy over in China named Hank Wang. That's how that goes. And folks, off camera, I just want to tell you that I had accidentally taken the Hanko head and I turned it over and it wasn't installed all the way. And so the little tier in there had kind of popped off, the MC PCB. I took it all the way back out and reseated it. Be careful about that stuff. If you don't have it reseated and you tighten it and it's not in the pegs correctly, it will destroy your emitters. Just a little safety tip. So, yeah, start fondling these and tell me what you think. And I'll get this other light done while you're talking.
Okay. Now, these two are the same design, but this one is much heavier. Is this a different material?
It is. Yeah, it is. The one on the left, the shiny one, is titanium. The one on the right is steel. So steel and titanium have very similar properties in a lot of ways, meaning titanium is about as durable as steel is, but titanium is known for being a lot lighter. One thing, though, is titanium isn't great for heat dissipation, but the hardness is the same. The durability is about the same, just titanium's lighter. Yeah, and those are the same manufacturer, same batteries, same style, same, everything. Yeah.
Different clips, though.
Yes, this is a roto blade clip. This is what it comes with. I switched this one out. This is actually off a Ray light. I did that just because I liked the contrast of the silver to the gold. Yeah.
Well, I really like this copper one. Well, you're reassembling the Henko. I like this one. It looks kind of like a spyglass. Feel very master and commander.
That's the Laulima Wayfinder, and I love it too. One of the things it's got going for it that none of the others have is it's in bronze, not brass, but actual bronze. So this is kind of pre-antiqued forced patina bronze. It's got a really heavy weight in the hand, but also feel the threads. Unscrew the front and feel that. It's about the smoothest light I have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. And then when I was playing with this one, I like the little corset in the body, shall we say. It has a nice hand feel to it.
I'm glad you brought that up, because before I purchased this light, just looking at it in pictures, I was really concerned this would be uncomfortable to hold. This Jeff Henko light over here, this design is called a full twist, meaning that both sides are the twist pattern. I have kind of another light. Oh, actually, I think it's on my person. Here we go. I got this light right here. This would be a half twist, half gunner grip. And this grip right here is a little aggressive for me.
I like this. We've actually talked about this before. I like, not only visually, I like the difference between the gunner grip and the twist. I think it's just kind of cool to see the different geometric shapes. But I actually do. I think this has a nice hand feel. So I guess that just goes to show that you should buy it and try it, because from, like you said, looking at this, you didn't think it was going to be comfortable in the hand, but I actually think it has a really nice hand feel.
Yeah.
It's nice and smooth.
I was really pleasantly surprised. I don't think I would have got this light, except for the fact that Zero Arrow got one before me, and I kept hammering about it. I kept saying, like, well, how's it feel in the hand? He goes, it feels fine. It feels great. I was like, really? It looks like it would cut me up, but no, it feels great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the gunner grip.
I do too. I EDC this. Full disclaimer, because somebody's going to watch this video and understand. This is actually a counterfeit Henko, and I would never engage in such behavior and buy one. I was the victim of a scam. I paid $700 for a real Henko, and this came.
Yeah, I remember that. You thought you were purchasing a legitimate Henko secondhand.
I was very upset. I was worried I was out my money. The good news was I had a bunch of protections in place, and I was able to force the guy to refund all my money. And because he was in Thailand, they didn't even make me return it. So I've got this counterfeit now. And there's definite differences between the counterfeit and the real one. I mean, maybe not seen on camera. I think the one thing that is seen on camera is how shiny this finish is, where this one's a little more kind of matte. But in hand, you can tell the difference, and the threads are different. And the clicky isn't a great clicky. This is a Mick clicky. That's a genuine Ford clicky, Mick clicky, where this is like some. I don't say it in a pejorative way, but it's a Chinese knockoff. That's what it is. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad you brought this out, because I would love to see a legitimate Henko with the gunner grip. And I almost wonder if, because everything, when you get into this high-end hand finishing, it looks aggressive but is so smooth, I actually wonder if you would like the gunner grip in a legitimate Henko.
Hey guys, did she just give me license to buy a gunner grip twist combination from Henko?
You're going to have to go on Facebook, though.
I just, that's right, I hate Facebook. I just heard her say that she'd want to see a real one. Did you hear that? I got it recorded. She's turning red now. All right, so, all right. But, So when you look at these, what do you like here? What feels good to you?
I mean, I like the Henko, the clip. I'm getting Ed Hardy vibes, circa 2004. So the clip is a little aggressive for me. I mean, I appreciate the artwork in it. It's certainly not my aesthetic.
This actually confused me at first too, and I'm a flashlight guy. When I saw these, I was really turned off because it turns out that the clips themselves are anywhere from $350 to $700 for the clip.
So like an Ed Hardy t-shirt from circa 2004. It's a little bit pricey for what you're getting, perhaps?
Yeah, this is called Steel Flame. So here's the deal. I'm not trying to convert anyone to enjoy such a thing, but it turns out that when you get hardcore into this community, this is kind of a badge of honor. It's jewelry. It's something you throw on your flashlight. And they are handmade, and this is bronze, and it's, hand forged and worked on, and you get the little crystal eyes. I mean, is the materials worth that money? No. Is the manufacturing? I don't know. I didn't see them make it. Maybe they spent a long time on it. And you know what? Let's have a sidebar here. People often ask, why would these ever be worth like $700? Well, this is one of the things that I tell people about when we talk about wedding photographers, why they charge like $5,000 for your wedding. And the answer is they can only shoot one wedding a weekend. They got to have some weekends off. They got to have some, and then they're going to work on your wedding photos during the week, right? So the answer is, what do they deserve to make per year? Right? And if they're like a starting out wedding photographer, maybe they deserve to make $70,000 a year. If they're really good at what they do, maybe six digits, like maybe like $120,000. If they're the world's best, right, to the paparazzi, maybe they make $250,000 a year. And what they do is they divide that per available working weeks, and then you get your how much it costs. And the same figure's going on here. If you look at these lights, I've done the math. These guys are spending 2 to 3 days on a single light. So it turns out that at these prices, and I'm not even including overhead for materials and keeping their shop up, they're making like $60,000 a year.
So what you're saying is that by buying one of these high-end lights, by buying something from Jeff Hanko Metalworks, by buying a
Steel Flame.
Steel Flame. Yeah. By buying a Steel Flame, you're supporting small American business and artisans, and you're doing your civic duty as an American to support your fellow artisan, your fellow flashlight enthusiast and artisan.
Now I get the impression that there's people watching the channel that are going to try and soundbite that and play it back to their wives. You sound like a shill for me, and I don't think she's shilling. I think that yeah.
No, like I said, I appreciate the work that I know went into this and the workmanship. I'm just saying it's not my personal aesthetic. Maybe if it was a less aggressive looking cat or something, I might be more into that. But I do like the smoothness of them. I have to say, I mean, I kind of want to see the Hanko with the gunner grip just for myself, because I like the knockoff so much. I do like the way this feels in the hand. Mm-hmm. I would have to say, but I like the idea of this driver with the flashing it and having the nice user interface. So if we're just talking as far as what do I like in my hand, I think it's these two.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm
as far as what I like in my hand,
I'm with you on that.
As far as what I would like to actually have to interface with, I do like. Maybe I'd switch out a driver, since you showed us how to open up the Hankos. Maybe I'd switch out a driver.
A question there, though, just to be clear, is I'm not sure that the pill inside here is the same size as the other ones. That would be some custom work. Yeah, I think the pill is a different diameter. I'd have to check on that. So I don't think it's a lot of these are like all exactly the same size. This one, they're doing their own thing.
Oh, okay. So maybe it wouldn't be quite as easy, but I mean, I think all of these lights definitely have their own reason for being, have something that makes them special, whether it's the material whether it's the lightness. I mean, this one is light as air.
It's extremely light, but the reason why is it's not titanium, it's aluminum.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, so a little bit softer of a material, but definitely light as air. And I like the special driver that's in this. Again, special battery, but it feels so nice in the hand. I can see why you have so many lights in your collection when they're all so different. Here, I'm going to try to balance it out on camera there. We're getting a little lopsided. I guess if I had to pick one, if there was going to be one light to carry around, I would pick the Henko, but I would swap out the clip.
That's fair. I mean, I think you picked up on something as I've been buying and selling lights, because I mean, I take a little bit of loss every time I sell a light. I never sell it for what I bought it for. But the point is, I feel like it's a rental fee. Like I get to try it out, have it for a couple months, and then flip it. And these are the ones I've settled on because they're varying CCTs, color temperatures. That is, varying drivers. You're right. This one's like kind of chunky in the hand. It's got some weight because it's bronze. I don't have any else that are bronze. I think you've hit it the nail on the head, which is I like to have them a little different.
Well, thank you so much for showing me all your lights and sharing this experience with your YouTube family. Make sure to like and subscribe.
That's
Click
right.
that button.
Ring that bell.
Ring that bell.
All right, guys. Thank you.